Good morning. I am Vedaraj, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, RMD Engineering College. Today's class we are going to discussing about the second object-oriented methodology such as Buch methodology. What is Buch methodology? The Buch methodology is a widely used object-oriented method that helps to design a system using object paradigm. It covers analysis and design phase of object-oriented system. The Buch method consists of different diagrams: class diagram, object diagram, state transition diagram, module diagram, process diagram, and interaction diagram. These diagrams are introduced by the Buch. What is class diagram? It describes the roles and responsibilities of object. Object diagram describe the behavior of system in terms of scenario, right? The state transition diagram, it describe the state and event of the system. The module diagram to map out where each class and object should be declared. The process diagram, it's mainly used to determine which process to allocate a process. Interaction diagram describe the behavior of system in terms of scenario. Okay, these are the various diagram introduced by the Buch. Next, very important, the Buch methodology consists of two different development process. Okay, one is the macro development process. The Buch methodology described macro development process and micro development process. The first we are going to discussing about the macro development process. What do you mean by macro development process? The macro process serves as a controlling framework for micro process. It can take a week or even a month. The primary concern of micro process is, student, please underline this point. The primary concern of macro process is technical management of the system. The macro process, the traditional phases of analysis and design to a large extent are preserved. Okay, so the macro development process consists of various steps. Okay, the first step is conceptualization. Very important. The second phase is analysis and development of architecture. The third one is design or create the system architecture. Fourth one is evaluation or implementation. Fifth one is maintenance. Okay, so now we are going to discuss one by one. What do you mean by conceptualization? See, during conceptualization, you can establish the core requirement of the system. Okay, you establish a system of goal and develop the prototype to prove the concept. Okay, so during the conceptualization, we are establish the core requirement of the system. The second step is analysis and development of architecture. In this step, we can use the class diagram to describe the roles and responsibility of object are to be carried out in performing. Okay, just we are describing the roles and responsibilities of object. The third one is design or create the system architecture. Just we are creating the system architecture. Okay, so in this step we are creating, we are focusing only the creation of system architecture. Okay, next one is evaluation or implementation. Okay, so in this phase, students, very important, in this phase implementation plan is decided. Okay, implementation plan, then the design is converted into programming construct. Okay, maintenance, the last step is maintenance. Okay, the product is delivered to the customer. Okay, so these are the very important steps of macro development process. Okay, so very important. What do you mean by macro development process? See, in macro development process, which controlling the framework for micro process. The second important point, the primary concern of macro development process is technical management of the system. The second development process is micro development process. See, the micro development process is a description of day-to-day activities by the single or small group software development. Okay, it consists of 5 steps. Okay, we will discuss these micro development. Okay, this micro development process, actually this diagram can capture the state of the class based on the stimulus. For example, in this case, the micro development process consists of various phases. The first phase is called as the identify classes and object. Okay, just we are identifying the what are the classes and objects are needed to develop the software. The second step is identify the class and object semantics. The third step is we are finding the relationship between the class and objects. Then identify the class and object interface and implementation. Okay, these are the various steps involved in OOAD methodologies. Okay, so every macro process has its own micro development process. Okay, this is very important. Okay, so there are 2 different types of macro development process supported by OOAD. One is the macro development process, the technical management of system. Okay, so micro development process, the day-to-day activities by the single or small group software developer system. Thank you, students.